welcome. It's Geeked Out. And Otome Oclock. So used to saying geeked out.
You do say it more often than Otome Oclock.
This is true. We are back. Triumphant return.
Ashley's got her shit together so much she doesn't even know what show she's on.
Fucking tell me about it. So we had to take a week off because I unfortunately have a day job and I had to do that and be responsible and some horse shit. But we're back. Megan, how have you been doing? What's with the tiara on your head? What's going on?
My birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday, Megan. So, with that being said, what are we playing tonight?
I don't think we're gonna finish Made Marion tonight, but we're gonna really try. We're gonna get close, you know? But, we're doing what feels like we're towards the end of Will's chapter of Made Marion. We might have to use voice to text for part of it.
Oh, God. So, for those of you who might just be checking in, this show is called Otome Oclock, where Megan and I are sisters, and we're going to be reading aloud to you, for better or for worse, visual novels that may or may not become spicy, and I try not to die.
Yes. It is, there are spicy scenes, but we turned off the visuals for this game.
Yeah, I don't need that in my life.
So I have to ask, because the way you said it, you made it sound like you guys are playing sisters on the show.
We are, in fact, siblings.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
In case anyone was wondering.
This is the show where Megan and I are sisters. And I'm like, wait, what? I was
No,
like,
no.
And Adam rolled a 1 on his D12. Did not go well.
I mean, on this show, you're my brother, Adam.
I mean,
He just fucking ripped his microphone out of the base.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything is fine.
They're fine. Yes, I have the birthday tiara on.
Birthday girl.
We do actually have a tiara somewhere that says happy birthday on it, or birthday girl.
There's a princess sash somewhere. It says birthday princess.
Yeah, we don't know where it is. The quickest one I
it
could
got
get
packed
to
up.
was this one.
Yes. All right, so we're
The
beginning.
only reason it's staying in my hair is because there's headphones on top of my
Do you remember
head.
what we did last time? I know that Will and Marion were smooching.
We found out that the
people talk too much.
magpie, I had to remember what bird it was. The magpie is actually Robin's mom, and I
that's right.
fucking called it.
Nice.
Knew it. Knew they were related to Robin and Will because it's bird themed. And that entire family is like Lark, Wren, Robin, and Will. Now, Will doesn't sound bird themed, but his name is bird themed. He just will slap anyone who says his full first name.
What's his full first name again? Or do you not want to get slapped by a two-dimensional man?
It's not said outside of his chapter, like even Velvet Cupcake Games. I don't think I said it, but I think it's Whippoorwillow.
Makes sense, Whippoorwillow.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. All right, so first of all, who's doing background and who's doing...
I'll do Marion and narration, and you do all the NPCs.
Okay.
And we can switch if we want at break time. Just remember when break time is this time, because we forgot last time.
Oh, that's right.
You don't even know when your
why.
start time is.
We knew when it was. I was just looking at wigs on Amazon.
There are reasons. I should probably turn the ads back on. Or we could just time it.
Yeah.
All right. What do you want the timer to set to?
Like it's 7 o'clock,
All right. So,
which would be about 45 minutes from now.
okay. Do you want to set the timer or do you want me to set the timer?
I can set the timer.
Okay. How you doing, Willow? Hope you're doing well. We're going to read some stories to you tonight.
Yes.
All right, so you're doing background.
Yes. We left Locksley Hole in the same surreptitious manner we'd arrived.
You left Locksley.
It wouldn't do to disrupt the illusion that Lady Locksley was peaceably ruling the holding and staying out of contact with her wanted son and nephews.
Wait, you left Lady Loxley lonely?
Will paused when we climbed back over the garden wall. He removed some papers from his pocket and perused them.
2 urgent messages. One for our contacts at the tavern hideout and one for Robin. I think it's best if you stay out of Nottingham for now. Shall we split up? Do you know the way?
Show me the way.
Where did you even get those messages?
I'm still not telling you if you didn't notice me retrieve them.
You're such a pain. Why do I like you so much?
My superior way with people, obviously.
I chuckled and tweaked his nose. I shouldn't have any trouble getting back to Sherwood, and Kroga knows the way from there.
All right. Take care and mind the settlements. Follow any doves that try to get your attention.
Yes, Father, I've been here all summer. He made a show of pouting at me.
Let me worry, just a little.
All right, I grant you my royal permission. Ooh, ooh. He leaned over and kissed me sweetly, then blew Mercator's whistle. We parted ways.
Turn that just down a touch.
I was still some distance from the border of Sherwood Forest when Kroga stopped in her tracks, sniffing the air. I felt her concern through our empathetic bond and took out my spyglass to scan the woods. Flashes of color flitted through the trees in every direction I looked. A few of them resolved into images of large men on horseback. We were being surrounded. My hands began to sweat. We'd assumed my pursuers wouldn't search for me outside of Nottingham. We'd been wrong. I hopped off Kroga. There were definitely too many of them for me to make a stand, so I left my sword and shield attached to her saddle, taking only my trusty boot dagger. I pressed my hand to Kroga's graceful neck. Get help. I spoke and willed the message to her. She gave me a baleful look, but obeyed. She leapt into the air and disappeared into the borderlands between our world and fairy that half-fey beasts could access. If only I could travel through it with her.
You know, usually when you hear knife and neck in the same sentence, it goes somewhere else.
Yeah. Alone, knowing the noose around me was tightening, I took my dagger and carved a quick message in a smooth barked tree. Thank goodness this was human land, so I could do so. Then I ran as fast as I could, hoping that my stalkers wouldn't locate the message. They found me a few minutes later, chasing me down with their mounts. 6 men wearing the livery of the mercenaries I'd met with Mesa. My luck had run out at last. There was no point in mounting a hopeless defense against 6 hardened warriors. I knew they wouldn't hurt me if they didn't have to. My reputation was everything to Sinjadi-led mercenary corps. Besides, it was time for me to face Guy Lalonde. I'd never learn why he was seeking to abduct me if I kept running away. I raised my arms in surrender. The man with the biggest horse and most impressive livery smiled at me in approval.
A wise choice, Lady Marion. Our employer does not wish to harm you. He merely wants to talk.
If he wanted to talk, he'd have sent me an embossed invitation. The men laughed at that, genuine laughter, devoid of mockery. It seemed I had earned their respect. A pity I was about to lose it. For when the captain dismounted and to help me up on his horse, I fluttered my lashes closed and collapsed into his arms.
Ah, pokey nicked, she fainted. These Avalon noblewomen. They're so fragile, always locked up in their homes. Aye, you'd never see my wife get in the vapors. Strong as a mountain cat and twice as bettable.
Why would you bet a mountain cat?
I mean...
Bro, listen. Different strokes for different folks. We don't know what these mountain cats look like, okay?
They could be fucking...
Cat
I mean,
ladies.
it could be a metaphor.
Khajiit from Skyrim. They could look like Khajiit.
Unless he's saying his wife's kind of ugly, but hey, it's better than an animal. Jesus Christ.
The men laughed again, and I couldn't find much fault with their assessment of our noble culture. Hadn't I railed against it myself? I made sure to lie limply.
Oh my.
Shush! When the captain lifted me in his arms. I heard the other men dismount to walk alongside us. With
All
my
this
weight
talk of
added to his
mounting
own,
and
my captor
dismounting.
leave deeper tracks than the forest floor. Will wasn't the finest tracker, but even he would be able to follow this bunch. I was carried for what felt like forever until I couldn't stand it anymore and opened my eyes.
Ah, hello, you're back with us. We're almost there. I believe I shall keep carrying you. Better for you not to run away, no?
No.
I'm not going to agree with you.
I can see why our client finds you of interest, milady.
I don't. Whatever could Sir Guy want with someone as unimportant as me? Oddly, all the men laughed at that.
Guy Lalonde? The Kingsman? You think someone like him would need to hire the likes of us?
It hadn't been Sir Guy after all. Then who in the world?
It's Carmen Sandiego.
We approached a lowly cottage somewhere on the outskirts of Locksley Holding. The mercenary captain carried me inside, tied my hands behind my back, and plopped me down on a kitchen stool. We sat for quite some time, the mercenaries watching me closely, until I heard a carriage pull up outside. The front door opened and my questions were answered. I gasped in realization.
You think it's her dad?
It could be. He was a right fancy tall, Oh.
He was a right fancy toff, pretty blonde hair, stood like a man what knows his blades.
Oh, Edith's description didn't only fit the British chevalier, it also fit someone I knew far better.
Was it the guy that she was shacking up with for a minute?
It could be.
It is! Guy! That guy, I can't remember his name.
Oh no, oh, he doesn't look happy. That description isn't happy. He stood in the farmhouse entryway, an oddly cynical look on his face.
I hate him already.
Hey, we don't know what happened, okay?
Yes, Vera, Megan is in fact my sister. Hello, Marion. It's been a while.
Alvin, what in fairy is all this about? You've been stalking me for months?
Fucking red flags. Shh. That's such a harsh term, my love. I've been doing my best to save you from yourself. Bokabakar, would you and your men guard the house from outside? I'd like some time with our guest.
The mercenaries filed outside, leaving me alone with my former lover. What's going on? The Alvin I knew would never do something like this. Alvin sighed, running his hand through his hair in an achingly familiar gesture. He took a stool and sat opposite me.
Perhaps I learned an important lesson when you sent me away over my own objections. When you pulled your rank on me, supposedly for my own good. I never thought you'd do something like that, ever.
He's got a point. He probably felt real fucking pissed off that someone who he thought was his friend and, thought a little bit too much in the liver department pulled fucking rank on his ass. Like he was just a lowly peasant. Shame pulled in the pit of my stomach. Alvin's status as a commoner had always been his sore spot, and I'd used it against him. I knew I'd hurt him, but I'd just been taking responsibility for my own mistakes, hadn't I?
Hadn't you?
I'm sorry, perhaps I wasn't thinking. I was merely concerned for you. I couldn't have you throwing away your future like that.
I understand, which is why I'm returning the favor.
I sat for a moment, my mind whirling. I felt bad that I'd hurt Alvin, certainly, but there was no excuse for this.
Yeah, you didn't kidnap him.
Whatever his twisted reasoning, I would not take responsibility for his decision to waste his time chasing me down instead of getting on with his life. So what do you want now? I didn't lie when I told you I don't love you. I've fallen in love for the first time since then. I know how it feels now. I will not be yours. He simply gave me a pitying look.
I'm sorry. Still, red flag guy is skipping through a meadow right now in the back of my head. Oh, what? I'm well aware. Certainly you don't think I'm the type to force a woman. No, I only intend to return you to your father where you belong before you manage to get yourself thrown into a gaol. Or was that pronounced jail?
I don't know.
It's basically a jail.
That is not your decision. You have no claim on me.
I have a claim on common sense. Is it that Sanjaji boy playing at Chevalier that you fancy? Ridiculous. You won't get anywhere attached to him.
He's a master swordsman. He's not playing at anything.
Oh, is that what you needed? Not simply a great swordsman, but a master?
Now I was getting somewhere. The ugly side of Alvin's unrequited feelings was spilling out. I knew he wasn't simply acting in my best interests. That's Codswallop and you know it. I love him for who he is, and if I never fell in love with you, perhaps it was because I sensed you had this in you.
Ooh.
Alvin stood and began to pace, obviously unsettled by my accusation.
Alright. Okay. I get where she's coming from to be fierce, but like, my true crime brain is like, girlie, you've been taken to a secondary location, and you're antagonizing the guy while you're fucking tied up. I'm not sure. I don't even know what the best move is. Do you get him on edge to have him make a mistake, or is that going to make him like kill you faster?
He's not going to kill her. Like, that's not what he wants. My thought is, he felt betrayed by her. Maybe a little bit because of the romance, but probably a lot because she fucking pulled ranks like, you're a commoner, I'm a noblewoman, I know better. Which probably really fucking ruffled his feathers.
I mean, as it should do.
And then when he heard she ran off and such, he probably thought, maybe I can go up in the world if I return her to her dad.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't like him. I didn't. I never had this in me until you told me everything between us was a lie.
What lie? We made no promises. I had no idea how you felt. You never told me. I was starting to lose myself in anger, but fortunately I snapped out of it when, through a window behind Alvin, I saw one of the mercenaries fall to the ground. Less fortunately, Alvin was a talented combatant. He noticed my divided attention, scowling at me.
What did you see?
He turned and strode toward the window. This was my chance. I'd worked my hands free of the bonds during our argument, just as I had practiced doing during my training. I leapt up behind Alvin and tackled him, grabbing the dagger out of his belt as soon as he hit the floor. I straddled him, squeezing his long torso between my thighs to hold him down. I pressed cold steel to the side of his neck when he attempted to flip himself over. I used my other hand to press his head into the floor. One baleful eye glared up at me. Don't move. I'm angry enough to use this.
You really have become a filthy bandit.
I stole the Prince Regent's tax money and turned it into sustenance for the poor, yes. The Elven I knew would approve of that. What did you think would happen if you returned me to my father by force? Did you think that that would be the end of it? That I'd sit obediently in his holding until I was married off to another cold-hearted lord? You know me, Alvin. You know what I would do. I would escape time and time again, to return to the life I desire beside the man I love. You cannot cage me. Nobody can. Once you helped me find a different path than the one my father set for me. Now I've set myself free while you lurked in Nottingham, dreaming of caging me again. What happened to you? Alvin went limp beneath me. His breathing slowed and he squeezed his eyes shut, then opened them again. He spoke slowly, his voice breaking.
Oh, fool. Faylords, Marion. He told me
Alvin never finished that sentence, for the door was flung open and my beloved strolled casually into the room. He beheld the scene in front of him and raised a brow.
I'd be jealous if it weren't for that knife in your hand.
Trust me, there's no need for jealousy.
Not sure there was even a need for me. Bet you could have had tied him up and gotten past those mercenaries on your own.
They'd probably have heard me tackle him if they hadn't already been unconscious. Besides, I'd never begrudge you the chance to rescue me for a change.
Oh.
Will grinned and pointed a saber at Alvin, the tip barely a finger's width from the man's nose. I rose to my feet.
You're not who we thought you'd be.
He's not. He's just a piece of my past come back to haunt me temporarily.
You can call off your master's swordsman, Mare. I know I'm beat.
At my nod, Will withdrew his weapon and Alvin stood up, groaning. Just how much of your father's fortune have you spent on this wild rabbit chase anyway?
I'll be working for him for the foreseeable future. I knew I was making that choice, though it was worth it to save you.
If only you'd bother to ask me if I wanted to be saved. We could both have been free if you'd made better choices. He hung his head. I know.
I know. So what are we doing with this rotter mare?
I was surprised that was the first question Will decided to ask, but the look he was giving me said he'd want the full story later. I don't think we're in a position to have him dragged in front of Lord Joffrey, and the punishment he's about to receive from his father is worse than anything we could do to him.
Maybe I deserve it. I let myself be led astray. I'm sorry, Marion. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm gonna try and be a better man.
You're going home to London then. No more paying thugs and mercenaries to drag me off.
No more. I promise.
No less either, but
I don't have any more credit to spend anyhow. All right, out you go. Take your mercs with you.
Alvin rose and attempted to apologize to me several more times before an impatient Will shoved him out the door.
Yeah, Will.
I will
a little
make
bit of will they, won't they?
a note that it said someone duped him. So someone convinced him this was a good idea. Like, he said that a couple times, that he was duped into this. Like, he talked to someone and they were like, hey, you should do this. He said that a couple times.
I'm wondering if his father, like if Marion's dad was like, hey, if you get my daughter, I'll let you marry her.
The moment Alvin left, I rushed into Will's arm. Pinning him against the closed door, his arms engulfed me and I kissed him passionately.
Oh my.
You came.
Oh my.
I'm sure he did.
I said when I finally pulled away.
Always.
He looked down at me, his eyes shining.
You said I'm the man you love.
Ooh, I do. I love you. I should have said it to you first.
I'm happy to hear it. However you say it,
You don't have to say it back. I didn't even say it the right way.
Don't you dare try to stop me. I love you, Marion. When Kroga came to me, riderless and panicked, I nearly fell apart. That's when I knew.
That's not so different from how I realized. When you got your full self arrested.
Oh my.
I pressed my palm against his chest, my body heating up. The
That's
desire
a lot of
between us
oohs.
had been building for some time, and now it threatened to burn me to cinders. Don't
Self-voicing enabled. Self-voicing disabled.
Don't tell me they're gonna bone in a random cabin in the middle of on the edge, the edge of Locksley Holding.
Cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
I want you so badly. I want everything.
Self-voicing enabled. He sucked in a breath,
Whoa.
pulling me close to him. One hand traveled down my back, down to
Swiggity
my
swooty,
buttocks,
he's coming for that booty.
grabbing
Oh,
and
God.
squeezing.
Ah!
His head dipped down and we exchanged a second,
Oh my
searing
God.
The
kiss.
screen is black.
It
Houston,
was a
the
desperate
screen
dance of
is
lips,
black.
tongue, and teeth.
Ah!
We were both breathing hard when we parted.
Now this is on
Will,
streaming mode.
I
right?
want you to.
Yes, this is on stream.
And I don't want us to be a
So there
secret
would have been
anymore.
images there, but
Self-voicing
they're censored.
disabled.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Will's like, get it, Marion.
I'm mostly bringing that up for anybody who might want to play this game.
Yes. We've turned on censored mode so that we don't have to see anything.
I will just combust. Megan will be like, nah, I've seen worse.
It's like I read fan fiction. I was just playing a game called Tri-City Monsters. This ain't shit.
Listen, I know, yes, I know, but I don't like in the room with my sister and then there's other people here and I'm like, this is small screens time, not big screens that everyone can see time.
I grinned, immeasurably happy to hear that fact. I'd been thinking about it and I had a plan. I have an idea about that. You want to tell Robin and John about us without having to face their endless teasing, yes? Do you trust me? I bathed in the glow of the smile he gave me. Oh my god, that's an actual smile.
More than anyone.
What are they gonna do?
Oh, God. So that Boar's ass was your lover once and thought to save you from the rebellion against your will?
I don't know what came over him, honestly. He was never like that before. We were riding back home, and I told Will the full story of my formerly mysterious stalker.
I trust you to convince him to abandon his plan. Do you think you'll forgive him?
Ooh, Ashley, I feel like we're on different sides of this equation.
Or are you thinking yes? Because I'm thinking, like, fuck that hoe.
Okay, if it turns out that someone actually told him that it would be a good idea, I would be more willing to forgive him.
It's a good idea to stalk your ex-girlfriend?
Well, not so much stalk as be like, oh, she's out there doing
She might be in
some-
trouble. She
might be in trouble.
needs your help. It's all on how you unpack it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I would prefer a middle option of like, yeah, but he's not anything to me. Like, I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I'm like, he's just in the past and I kind of don't care what happens to him.
Well, forgiveness doesn't mean that he's your best friend anymore.
Yeah.
It's just that you've let go of that emotion you've had to that.
Forgiveness feels as like, I forgive you. I'm like, what? That you're just, it's okay now? It's not okay.
It's like forgiving your abuser. It's not saying what they did was okay. It's saying that I am no longer holding these emotions within me and the trauma that you've put on me.
I guess we'll go with yes. I kind of want to just kick him into a fucking canyon.
Hold on. The pain of betrayal was still sharp. Still, thinking of my full history with Alvin, I knew my answer.
I'll forgive him eventually, I guess. Feels like I'm being a doorstop, but here we go.
You're not being... I will fight you right here and now. Don't call me a doorstop, Ashley.
I didn't call you a doorstop. I said Marion feels like a doorstop. Why'd you add that? See, now we're fighting. Now you got us fighting. Willow says kill off the ex. I'm like, I'm kind of with Willow. We're gonna
We
kick...
don't need to kill him because he made a dipshit move. He already spent so much money. We beat his ass. His dad's gonna beat his ass. There's no point.
I said I'd click yes. You just didn't like the dig I put it on Marion after.
Alvin helped me so much when I was all alone. He taught me them when most sword masters would have laughed in my face.
People get killed for us. Wait.
Just hit the space bar.
I did hit the space bar.
And he believed in me once. I'm sure he did. He helped me, give me the strength to plan a different kind of life for myself. I'm angry and hurt, but I believe I'll recover, and I'll forgive him if he mends his ways, though hopefully I won't have to see him again anytime soon. Yeah, it's not like you're gonna forgive him and go to tea with him. It's forgive him and never see his ass again. You're not inviting him to the wedding. You're not naming your firstborn after him.
I was like, this foreskin. I was like, what?
Firstborn.
Okay.
Will shook his head thoughtfully, accepting my answer.
If he knew you as well as he should have, he'd never thought it was his idea would work.
That's what I said.
I know. I heard.
How long were you listening in? A normal person would have rushed to my aid. You know.
I looked into the window after I dropped the last merc, saw you tackle him. I knew you had it under control, and I didn't want to steal your moment from you.
I think that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
Too bad my thoughts right now aren't very nice. They're all about how I want to tear that cute little outfit off your body.
Whoa.
Woo!
Will, calm down.
Damn!
Another flash of heat ripped through me. I sent a silent plea to the Frost Queen to cool my... God. Velvet Cupcake Games, I love you. But I didn't take the SATs or the ACTs.
My ardor.
My ardor. Thank you, English major.
You're welcome. At least I could do something with it.
I knew it would mean more to Will if we fully gave ourselves to each other after coming clean to his family.
After you had a bath? I mean, what the...
Yeah, you're gonna need a bath first. You got some stinky.
I'm gonna need a shower after this.
A shower
Cold
before, a
shower.
shower after. Let's not incur the wrath of Mel. I will gladly
Yes.
remove this outfit carefully for you once we've shared our little secret with your family.
Yeah, clothes were expensive back in the day.
Yeah, Nell hand sewed that. Do you know how hard it is to hand sew?
I mean, Nell will understand. Like,
I actually do. Now, how hard it is to hand sew.
I know you do. Ashley doesn't know.
I do. It's annoying.
God,
Line.
No, I was thinking about how many, like, yards and yards of hand sewing there has to be in, like, ye old skirts.
And that vest is leather.
Yeah, that's leather.
That's
Oh.
a whole different
Yeah.
level. Yeah.
He laughed, but it wasn't the harsh bark I knew. It was a low, rumbling sound that did nothing to abate my desire.
I was about, like, are we going immediately into a black screen again?
The Sherwood Camp bonfire crackled merrily as Will and I related our story to Robin and John that night.
Bonfire.
Ah, milady, it seems you have left a trail of slain hearts in your wake wherever you ventured.
My.
One is hardly a trail. What about that girl you kissed and got, like, super in trouble for because you couldn't think of a, you know, easier, well, not easier, but a more politically less disastrous way for her to be a lesbian?
You forget mine, broken so thoroughly when you chose my cousin over me.
Actually, I do feel the need to defend Robin really quick. Yes, he's a bit of a rake at the moment, but in his root,
He's our rake, though.
he is our rake. In his root, he does.
I like him more than
okay.
Alvin, but that's a low bar.
Okay. So, Velvet Cupcake said that that Will's root was between Robin and John's because Robin's root and John's root is very.
Robin's root?
Yes. A root is the romance
I
path
know.
you take in a game. Anyways, that Robin's and John's roots are super emotional, while Will's is a little bit more like action adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So, to give herself and everybody a break from the hard emotional hits, she put Will between Robin and John. Also, John's root chapter 1 should be finished within the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Tuesdays is when Velvet Cupcake Games does updates.
When we post this video next week on YouTube, all the links for everything you want to get in touch with Velvet Cupcake Games, their Itch.io, their Steam page, their Tumblr, that's all going to be in the video description.
They also have a Blue Sky.
They also have a Blue Sky. I like to harass them sometimes on Blue Sky. They love the love, so shower them with, oh my god, Will, I can't even, Alvin's such a douchebag.
Now I have to make a Blue Sky because I have a Blue Sky, excuse me. So I can not defend Alvin, but just be like, he fucked up, but he's not like evil.
Have a gentle argument in Velvet Cupcake's comment section.
I mean, Ashley and I are siblings. This is very par for the course. We used to get in fist fights over video games.
Yeah. These.
This
Did
is
you
nothing new. Yes. We had to make a rule
If she
while
got
we were
like,
playing.
if she was winning too hard, I'd just beat her up.
So we used to play Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. And we had to make a rule where if someone was powering up, you couldn't punch them while they were powering up. Like, you couldn't fight them in-game, or you would get punched in person. Because, Ashley would be powering up and be like, okay, I go in the sky and go, boo, 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 boo.
And then I beat you up in real life.
Then she beat me up in real life.
It's like, oh really? Well, I can do this to you right now. I'm showing up my attack.
Okay, back to the game. Robin's hand went to his heart in a comically exaggerated gesture. Will threw a pine cone at him. I laughed and seized the moment to put my plan in action. I scooted over on our stone bench and snuggled up against Will. He put his arm around me and kissed my forehead. I loved that he trusted me with his fragile ego. I'm so sorry to have broken your heart, Robin. I simply couldn't help myself.
They already fucking knew.
They were waiting. They were waiting.
How much you want to bet that they thought they were secluded in the woods? Everyone could see them when they're practically
Robin and John were taking bets. Layton also was trying to get in on that bet. Actually, no.
Layton was a squirrel on top of the branch, like, oh my, scandalous. But like the tiniest little squirrel.
No. Like, it's a hollowed out acorn for a wine
with
glass.
wine. Like, no much.
Okay, you have to put that image on Blue Sky and tag Velvet Cupcake, just a squirrel with Layton's face and the tiniest wine glass.
Wow, you're asking a lot. Okay.
That's not that hard. I will make it for you if you can't do it.
Oh, you want to fucking challenge, bitch?
I will challenge you, bitch.
Oh shit, now we're gonna have Photoshop wars on Blue Sky. Okay.
Robin and John gazed at us, grinning like idiots.
Well, now what do we have here?
I leveled my sweetest gaze at him. What we have is two adults making an ordinary decision that does not deserve any particular commentary. After all, such tomfoolery would be disrespectful to the lady involved, would it not?
Pinkies all the way up.
John's eyes widened. Robin erupted in what could only be described as a guffaw.
You're right, Marion. I would never wish to disrespect you.
Robin, on the other hand, will be making
full disrespect.
Full disrespect. He's teasing Will every opportunity he gets. He gave Will John gave Will an affectionate look.
Or my brother. I dare say our good lady has thoroughly bested us all this evening.
He lifted his goblet at me in salute, and not another word was said about our new situation. In front of you, they are gossiping like old women behind your backs.
Megan, we need to find a picture of a squirrel lounging on a tree branch so then we can like properly like Photoshop a tiny acorn wine glass.
Yes.
And Layton's head with squirrel ears and a tail. It's just a picture of Layton's head.
Yeah. Oh my god, Ashley. Look at the screen.
Self-voicing enabled. Self-voicing disabled.
Enable it.
Self-voicing enabled. I whispered to Will while Robin and John were having a discussion later. He tightened his arm around me.
So we preemptively enable?
She
Will,
just said to take
shadows,
it back.
I want to, so badly.
God damn it.
But I want to be clean and fresh for our first time together.
Whoa.
And I should have that talk with my brother while he's well disposed toward me.
At least he's
nice.
gonna shower first.
Disabled.
He's not gonna have swamp ass.
Because that would just be awkward.
I'd like, listen.
Like if you try a different position, like, oh! Like,
and you know.
No, it's great. Oh, God, that smells so bad.
And listen.
How can it smell that bad?
Marion might have swamp titty.
Will might have swamp dick.
I mean, swamp.
That's just fucking unfortunate for everyone.
I understand. That will get a lot off your chest anyhow, so you can concentrate on...
Self-voicing enabled.
Titties.
Concentrate on my titties!
You need to get something off your chest.
I plan on it.
It's called a shed.
Meet me tomorrow at my cabin as soon as you like. I'll be there this time. I promise.
You pumice?
Pumice.
He gave me a quick goodnight peck and a smoldering gaze that said he'd have done much more if his relatives weren't mere hands away. Then he rose and got John's attention.
Oh my god, this is so steamy. Okoro, do you have a few moments to speak in private? Of course, anytime you like.
I was glad to see that John and Will would be able to air things out at last. I only had to convince my libido that it was as glad as my heart. It was going to be a long night.
Are we
Preemptively, after a night of tossing and turning, I managed to awaken before noon. I hurried to the waterfall pool to bathe and practically flew to Will's cabin. What do you think's gonna happen?
Self-voicing
Are they
enabled.
playing checkers?
He met me at his door, looking slightly disheveled.
That's hot.
Apparently I wasn't the only one who'd had a rough night. Still, he was clean and fresh as promised. His familiar citrus scent tickled my nose. Marion, hello, you smell nice. Really? Was that what I thought of to say?
I think we
Will chuckled
preemptively.
and
We
said
gotta.
nothing.
All right.
Self-voicing
I'm
disabled.
stopping it. We gotta voice it until the screen goes blackout, no matter how bad it gets.
Okay.
Oh Lord God, take me now.
Really? That's what I was thought to say. Will chuckled and said nothing, but looked me up and down consideringly. I felt like a pasty that was about to be... Oh, my God. I felt like a pasty that was about to be devoured.
Oh my God.
A pasty is like a hand pie, but it's like savory filled. Imagine a very large pierogi filled with meat.
That's a labia. You look lovely, but you're entirely overdressed for today's activities.
Whoa, goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
I didn't think I ought to scandalize the neighbors, considering the neighbors are your brother. Though Robin wouldn't have minded the sight.
Shall I take you somewhere that will allow us to be as loud as we desire?
Oh my God, they're gonna go to that spot they were at last time when he was like sulking.
And there's gonna be a squirrel with a small acorn just like, I love my job.
Yes, I'm just keeping an eye out for the rebellion. He looked down at me teasingly, his dark brow cocked in invitation.
That's the only thing about to get cocked.
A sweet heat spread through me.
Woo!
That's not the only thing about to spread.
Oh Lord. Okay. I'm getting ready with that V key. And definitely a little wine. V key, V card.
Will led me to a secluded grove in the far reaches of the enchanted valley, past even the waterfall pools.
Oh, her enchanted valley.
No wonder you're good at disappearing. You know all the secret spots in this valley. Oh, you better find out about your hidden valley.
Might have found some more secret spots. I like having my own places to think, but you're welcome to them. You're all right.
You're welcome in my secret places.
Oh!
Despite the lack of flowery words or charming gestures, that was the most romantic thing Will had ever said to me. I knew I was special, to be invited into his space. I'm honored. I was drawn...
Self-voicing enabled. I was drawn toward him like a moth to a flame, stepping into the circle of his arms. Our lips met and that flame burst into an inferno.
Oh my, that's dangerous.
We kissed and touched until we could stand it no
Only
longer.
you can prevent forest fires.
Will spread his cloak out on the ground and we dragged each other down, removing clothing as we went. Driven by weeks of growing desire, we made mad, desperate love on the forest floor. We traded filthy repartee, enjoying all of our byplay thoroughly.
Oh my God!
So they sassed each other while they boned.
Oh God! I'm surprised I didn't. I guess that's too graphic for them to do in a game. I don't know.
I'd
no,
never dreamed
no.
of meeting a man who was my
Well, we didn't get a
intellectual
black
equal
screen.
and enjoyed that fact. It was intoxicating, joining with Will, sharing my body with someone I loved.
What makes it better is the fucking text-to-speech.
There might be a CG eventually.
Afterwards, I lay in his arms.
Or no CG.
We exchanged leisurely kisses and promises of many pleasure-filled afternoons to come. We grew silent, sated and suffused with love.
Well, something grew.
I listened to his steady
That's
heartbeat,
confused with something.
slowing bit by bit.
So
I closed my eyes, enjoying the accompanying
Only for a
forest
moment, but
sounds.
the moment's gone.
Do I still? They probably are naked in this picture.
Self-voicing disabled.
I'm Dane.
Oh! The breeze fluttered through the trees. A lone whippoorwill. Perhaps that's Will's name. It is a bird. tweeting out its unique call.
I think Willow probably passed out at this point. That was a lot of heavy breathing over there.
A whippoorwill. I
A
jolted
whipper
it
will or
upright.
a whipper won't.
Wait, I figured it out. Oh, nibbles. Will opened his eyes listlessly.
Figured out what?
Your birth name, it's... He grabbed me and pinned me down with a fierce kiss. He breathed out his warning in the moments between sealing my lips.
Don't you dare.
I wouldn't forget the revelation I'd had, but I decided it was best to save it for another day. Ideally, when I was well out of my vengeful lover's reach. Just go up to Robin like, is it Whippoorwill? Is that his real first name?
They must be naked again in this picture. If you want to see these, you need to...
You need to play the game.
Yeah, purchase the game and play it. You get to see all the naked
So, like,
bits.
I want to have...
We're not even allowed to show it. So.
Yeah. So, like, there's a demo that we're going to play on here eventually that will probably be our first demo for an 18-plus game that we're not going to show. Like, literally, I was playing through this game not only just to play it because I like the art style and the story, but just to see if it could work on Otome Oclock. And, like, so most Otome games, you work up to, like, some sort of physical contact that's sort of sexually charged, right?
It opened up with a sexually charged.
No, it did not open up. Chapter 1
Something else open up?
Chapter 1 of the first character's chapter, who is technically the most horny character. There was like
Getting railed?
there was an 18+ scene like chapter 1.
Welcome back, Farrah.
There was another one in chapter 2. And then there was another one in chapter 3.
Damn. It's like a fucking one-shot Doshinji.
And there's going to be another one in chapter 4.
Like, you know it's going to be hot when there's only 6 chapters and it's done. Like, yep, I know what time it is. I ain't messing around with no plot.
8 chapters. There's 8 chapters, and so, like...
There's 8 chapters. And my fine cultured friends, you know what that means.
Beautiful art style. We'll talk about that more at the end of the show.
Wow, there's some really good details in there.
Ashley, I think it's time for ad. I think it's ad.
Oh, yep.
Is it 8 o'clock?
Do you want to read this and we'll take a quick break?
Once I'd been thoroughly kissed into submission, we snuggled back together. Will drew his cloak over us like a blanket, and I drifted off.
The end.
Hey, Layton was watching!
That fucking creep.
I was awakened by a mournful cooing sound. A much larger dove was flapping around at us. Titties, titties, titties. Titties, titties, titties. Like, literally, that's what he's doing.
Alright, so we're going to take a quick break here so we can rest our voices and yet. So we shall return. And y'all just hang out and listen to pretty music and look at our silly photoshops and come up with ideas for us to photoshop characters into weird situations. And oh my god, what is on the screen right now? Anyway, switching. Before we went and took our little water break, we just missed a very spicy scene with Will and Marion in a grove.
Exploring each other's forests.
And valleys and secret spots. Good god, so many
Bushes.
bushes. And then a bird showed up.
Thank goodness Will had covered us with his cloak, considering that the dove was probably not actually a dove. I poked Will.
Watching the whole
What?
time. Purdy
Oh.
doves.
He glared at the poor feathered beast, then carefully slid out from under the cloak, exposing himself in his full glory. The dove puffed all its feathers out dramatically and played dead.
Fucking Layton.
It was definitely not an actual dove. Will picked it up and removed the message with a wicked grin, then cheerfully waved farewell when it sped off. I giggled.
Worth it.
He read the message inside.
We've been summoned from whatever depraved activities you two lovelies are perpetrating somewhere in the woods.
Thank you for knowing what we were doing, Layton. Robin's handwriting, I imagine.
Of course, my brother prefers not to think about such things when it comes to me. Shall we?
Oh, that's like you and John are thinking the same thing. You would both prefer to never have those thoughts. You would prefer to think nothing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Ken doll. Absolutely nothing going on.
It took a few minutes to gather up all the random pieces of clothing that we'd strewn across the clearing, but we managed to look presentable again mostly. Girl, just tie up your hair. It doesn't need to be floating around in the breeze. Bring a comb.
She's got some twigs in her hair.
When we arrived at the meeting place in the Bowers, we saw that Layton had joined Robin and John. Will smirked at him.
Yes, very impressive. I assure you.
Layton has boned dudes before. There has never been a point in my life where I was more sure of that than right now.
I like to think that, for a little while, because he spent so much time in squirrel form watching them, like when he's gonna drink wine, he's like, this is John. Huh? Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, old pal. Oh.
I covered my mouth in a vain attempt to hide my giggle. Robin clasped his hands together in a way that he always did to dispel uncomfortable situations.
Right! The meeting, yes! Please get us out of this awkward silence. Yes, the tournament. Layton, you will not be participating, correct? I don't think my particular brand of magic would be welcome at Lord Joffrey's tourney.
No, but there are definitely parties afterwards where they would be really excited to see your expertise.
Do not feel you must sit through this on our account, then. I wouldn't, but the boss bird said he had something for me. Yes, the magpie's latest missive contained a message that I assume is for you. It's in Druidic script.
Robin handed a letter over to the druid, whose eyes widened when he read it.
Uh-oh. Well then, I fear the time has come for me to depart from this merry camp. I shall miss the wine, if not the company. We love you too, Tuck. Stay away from the druids, little blade. I mean it.
Friar tucks it back.
Only on Thursdays. Things have been set in motion, and you do not wish to be anywhere near them. Goodbye, rebellion. My thanks for sheltering me all these months.
I miss my spouse, Mesa.
Oh.
They already left a couple episodes ago.
Oh, Mesa.
He gave us a wave and stalked off in the direction of his cabin.
We knew this was coming, but by Arthur, that was abrupt. I suppose I'll have to cancel the farewell party plans. It seems like John really likes planning parties.
He's a party guy.
Or perhaps you could tell us why you wanted to be rid of our resident druid?
I smiled. I'd suspected that had been John's aim, and despite his mannerisms, I'd learned that not much got past Robin.
Because Will and Marion are going to investigate the druids.
I don't think... Oh.
Fascinating. You've changed your mind on the subject then? We had a discussion. As you've been telling me all this time, I need to start letting my brother make his own decisions, since he's going to do it anyhow. And now, Layton is departing without giving us any more information than he ever has.
Oh, we are gonna get fucking shafted by druids.
What?
The magpie gave us an important clue about where the Nottingham druids might be hiding their secrets. We hope at least to find where they're keeping the blood samples for the indentured and Will.
Yes, that is the other reason I will argue for this investigation. I want my brother free of that threat over his head.
Will smiled at his brother, my heart delighted to see them getting along at last.
All right, I'll allow it under one condition. No tournament for you. I know. We'd have to spend too much time training if we were going to be in the grand melee. The magpie will take care of it in my stead. Will he now? Good, then I can trust that's done and dusted. John and I will win in our categories, naturally. We'll have our boons out of Lord Joffrey, or the people will rise. Perhaps both.
Oh my.
I wouldn't complain. It galls me to think of Lord Joffrey keeping his seat by capitulation, but needs must. You two, will you take Rowan with you on your search? They have skills that might aid and protect you.
Actually, we were about to ask you if we could do that.
I'll let them know that they're assigned to your squad for a while. They've been asking me if they could help the pretty lady.
Then I shall endeavor to need help.
Oh, I know how to find the bad druids. John won't let me before, but I can do it.
We were walking through the forest just outside the Sherwood camp with Roan. It was more dangerous to do now than it was before Layton's departure. We didn't have his network of doves and wolves to warn us of Lord Joffrey's foresters. Still, Roan had promised us that their fox friends would warn us if any strangers approached. It was no wonder John had wanted them to come along.
What do you propose, Roan? You know I've been helping the Fae confuse the bad foxes when they try to find us?
Light foxes trained by the Nottingham Druids, yes. While Layton's shadow wolves possessed natural midnight magic that they had used for camouflage, light foxes were half-fey beasts who possessed finding magic. They were often used by druidic circles as trackers.
Aye, and if they're trying to find our camp, we can follow them to their camp too. Let's go to the place on your map and my friends will help you find them.
They're not a danger to your friends, are they?
Nay, they're well fed, so they don't think the forest foxes are competition. That sounds like a good plan.
The babies.
Look at the little furry babies.
We spent several days scouting around the forest with Roan until we'd found a likely area in the region the magpie had shown us. We tracked the light foxes as best we could without being seen. Roan suggested that the Sherwood Fae were assisting us, which was a comforting feeling. We worked with John, who helped us with our cartography skills until we had an area that was small enough to scout directly. It was in the portion of Sherwood known as the Deep Woods, where Fae magic was at its strongest, and the undergrowth was wild and thick. The day had come for our final investigation.
All right, Roan, we need you to stay here and help your friends keep watch over us. If we have trouble, we need you to go back to camp and report to John. Ah, fine, I understand.
Someone once told me that lookout duty is vital. I didn't like it either, but he was right. I pointed at Will and Roan giggled.
Got it!
We left Roan at the edge of our investigation area and began our plan to locate any hidden structures in the thick forest. The Sherwood camp was protected by midnight magics that not only gave the illusion of a sheer cliff face, but that radiated a sense of uninterestingness, causing seekers to turn away without even realizing what they'd done. We thought a similar enchantment might be at work here, so we took turns. One of us would scout an area, and the other would watch to see if the first person turned away from their plotted course. After several hours of searching, I watched Will turn around early. Stop!
In the name of love.
He stopped, wide-eyed.
Did I turn around?
You did. Remarkable. Don't move. I walked to Will's side, then closed my eyes. Help me walk forward.
Understood.
Will guided me, keeping me from tripping on roots or boulders. I held my hands out in front of my body. Proceeding step by step, I moved in a straight line, nearly fell twice, but eventually my hands made contact with a smooth rock. Do you see me touching anything?
No.
This is it. I flattened my palms against the object in front of me. Will came to my side and did the same, eyes open.
I can feel it.
Sorry, with arms wide open.
We had broken the misdirection spell, though we still couldn't see the building we'd found. We walked along it, tracing its shape with our hands until Will called out to me.
I think I found a door.
I rushed to his side, and we felt around the door-like shape that we could sense against our hands. My
When is
fingers...
a door not a door?
When it's ajar.
Oh, damn.
My fingers were beginning to get sore from rubbing against stone when I found an oddly shaped depression. I think this is it. Will drew up behind me, pulling his carved imitation keystone from his pouch. I drew his hand to the depression, and he nodded to me.
Stand back.
I moved several hands away and watched as Will turned the carving against the rock. He pushed it in.
Oh, my. I thought we skipped that scene.
Several things happened at once. I heard the harsh warning cry of a fox. The ground shook, and thorny vines split the earth, grabbing at us. The magic vines enveloped Will before he could run. His blessing was no match for them.
Damn.
He was bound by the wrists, ankles, and torso. They wrapped around my ankles before I could react. Somehow I gained the clarity of mind to draw my sword. I noticed that the gripping vines grew from two massive stems. Each plant seemed to be entwining one of us in its own. I could probably sever one plant at the roots with my sword, but I had mere moments before I was also overcome.
Will. Free will.
Free will!
Free Willy.
I knew my own weakness. I wasn't as good in a crisis as Will. I would have to rely on him once more. I moved forward so I could reach the plant that was entangling Will. I swung my sword backward. And it was pulled from my hands by the entangling vines. In a flash, they wrapped around my arms and wrists, the thorns digging into my flesh.
Damn.
I cried out in agony. My pain was echoed by Will, who was just out of reach. The vines grew tighter.
Is this a fail state?
I screamed at the top of my lungs. I opened my eyes. I was alive. It was dark and cold. I seemed to be lying on a stone slab of some kind. I tried to sit up, but my chest was bound to the slab. I tried to move my hands. My wrists were bound. At least it was by ropes, not by thorny vines. In fact, I no longer hurt at all. I saw the vague outline of a person coming towards me. A soft, feminine voice spoke.
Ah, my lovely, you've awakened. I'm so sorry we can't meet properly, but no matter. It will be much nicer to meet you once you're not you anymore.
I don't like these words.
The fuck?
She giggled. It was chilling. Who are you? Where am I? Nobody answered my question. Instead, a masculine voice spoke to her as though I weren't even present.
Have you prepared the vessel? Yes. All nice and clean, all patched up.
Okay, before we continue forward, I'd like to pose a theory that the influx of Fae were in fact regular people that had become vessels for whatever they're doing. A finger ran along my side. I was close, but it gave me no solace. Something terrible was happening here.
Harnan, will you fetch the concoction, please? Yes, my master.
Uh-oh. It was Will's voice, but it wasn't Will. He would call no man master. I thrashed against my bonds, getting nowhere. Who was he? What did you do to him?
Oh, don't worry about your tall friend. He's no longer here. Soon you will join him. I wonder where you'll go.
And this is why Layton told us to not fuck with the druids. But what did we do? We went and we fucked with the druids because we didn't want to listen to Layton.
Why was that in sing-song?
Oh,
you really ought to find a sense of whimsy, dearest. Curiosity leads to inventiveness, does it not? You have a point.
Unfortunately, it's on the top of his head.
I heard shuffling. I cried out, pleaded for them to let me go. I needed to get away, needed to get out, needed to get both of us both out. The voices ignored me.
Shadow, she's loud. Is it ready? Aye, dearest. She's ripe for the plucking. Have you bound the elf?
Oh!
All ready. Very good. Drink up, young lady, and good night. Harnan, if you please.
A thick, viscous liquid would pour down my throat. I tried to fight it, but I was held down by powerful hands. No, I knew those hands. They were Will's.
I'd been held down by those powerful hands before.
My lover's hands, no longer under his own control, forced me to drink. I fought against swallowing for as long as I could, but he held my nose.
That's what she said.
But I held my nose and mouth closed. He held my nose and mouth closed until my body could fight no longer. The poison poured down my throat. I felt a strange floating sensation as though I were leaving my own body. Will's hands were the last thing I felt before I flew away into nothingness.
Oh.
Oh,
that's a
we
fail
didn't
state.
save.
That is a fail state, folks.
Hold on. Hold on.
Bro, we should have saved.
Well, let's see where it takes us.
That's at the end.
I know, but will it take us back to a save? Like, will it take us back to just...
Bro, we got killed because I tried to save Will first because he's fast. I didn't realize there's a
This
save,
is a great
fail
song,
save.
though.
Fuck.
I'm sure you can, like, scroll through this faster.
Nope. Gotta watch the whole thing.
It's supposedly skipping.
I don't know. Hit the space bar. See
Well,
what
it
happens.
says skipping.
It's like loading the skip.
Hit the space bar.
You did.
I am hitting spacebar. Tab says skipping.
You have died.
Yeah. You hath failed.
Yes, return to the previous choice.
Free myself.
Wait. Before you hit anything, save. In a new slot.
In a what?
Shush.
All right, Megan.
There was no time for a better strategy. I had to be the one to lead the way. I pulled my sword backward, building momentum. With my mightiest swing, I slashed through the stalk of the vine closest to me. I felt the pressure around my ankles slacken. Without a second thought, I stepped forward and slashed the other vine plant. Will exploded out of a mass of tangling vines. He was bloody and angry. He flew toward me, blessing sped, grabbing me about the torso and propelling us both away from the vines. I heard the ground rumble once more. Will swore, accidentally letting go of me. Move! Oh,
Move!
sorry.
Move!
I scrambled forward, my love by my side. I could hear the sickening sounds of magically animated thorny vines creeping behind us. Will managed to grab me again. He ran, leaping around trees and branches. I bit into his pauldron so I wouldn't scream. We were still in the deep woods when he stopped, nearly dropping me. I leapt to the ground. Will collapsed on one knee.
Quickly, pocket bacon. Curse it. Too much. The pack, please.
Pocket bacon. I stood to my full height, whipping my head around while grabbing for my pack. My forehead bashed into a low-hanging branch. I crumpled to the ground. Oh, is this another fail state?
Well, we didn't have a choice before that.
Consciousness returned. I groaned, my forehead throbbing in pain. Oh. Hoomst. Where? I forced my eyes open. I was in a well-appointed room I'd never seen before. There was a white ruffle in my peripheral vision. I turned my head. Will, thank goodness, he looked well. The thorn gouges in his skin were closed and had been cleaned and dressed. I tried to reach out to him, but my hands were bound. So we were prisoners, but at least we were together and we were well cared for. His eyes snapped open and he squirmed, realizing his own bound position.
Please, don't overexert yourselves.
Guy? Oh, no. Who the fuck are you? My head whipped around and I looked into the face of death. I screamed.
Calm yourself, lass. If I wanted to kill you,
Who
you'd
are you
already
and what's
be
your
dead.
SCP number?
The Stag. I've heard of you. Never had the pleasure. Or you wouldn't be here.
That's fair.
Whoa.
We were in the presence of a temple assassin. Ordinarily, anybody who saw one in their regalia was legally marked for death. It was kill or be killed, and the temple assassins were notoriously difficult to kill. The man behind the mask had an accent that was definitely Avalon, but it was an unfamiliar dialect. He must have been from somewhere
You
far.
must have had a dialect coach.
He must have been from somewhere far from Glastonbury or Nottingham. Why are you showing yourself? What are you planning to do with us?
Shh, peace, little bit. I'm here because I owe you to a debt. You're only bound so you don't do anything stupid, like immediately attempt to kill me when you see me.
They would do some bullshit like that.
Not bound anymore.
Will shook his hands loose and said to my bonds, he slipped them off me while the stag spoke.
Of course you're not. I like ye, Scarlet Blade. Few men would put themselves in such peril for the sake of others, and your efforts have connected me with a friend who shared some important revelations with me.
The stag is friends with Layton?
Probably an ex-boyfriend.
Probably.
However, you're not to return to the hidden temple. You're no druid, lad, your blessing aside. You're no druid either. Aye, but I know a few.
Yeah, he's got the pass to be allowed into the secret temple. You don't. I could sense a smile in the assassin's voice.
As I said, I owe ye a debt. I had made a huge mistake without ye. I will settle it with ample payment, which I'll give if ye swear to an oath not to return to the temple. I assure ye that you wish for this information.
Will looked at me. I nodded. He looked as haunted as I felt. We had been extremely fortunate to escape the vines. We were no match for the magic that had been employed against us.
Very well. I swear it.
Very well. For the vine.
As
no,
do
not
I.
for the vine.
He brought out a furled paper and placed it in my hands. I spread it open to see a map of a building on the edge of Sherwood Forest in human-controlled territory.
The location of the blood sample is used to track the indentured. Will you promise to destroy it?
Blood for the blood.
Gladly. Thank you. It is my pleasure. More than anything, I hate to see folk in bondage. You would be doing us all a service, and my time is now pledged to destroying a greater threat. We will take care of those who would bind Nottingham to their will. You simply need to ensure those who are already bound are freed. On the day of the tournament, the storehouse will be largely unguarded, as the circles have been called to attend Lord Joffrey. I recommend ye make your move then. Little curtsy.
The stag bowed to us, and before we could ask any more questions, he turned and left the room with the speed and grace of the master assassin he was. Will and I looked at each other. Well, that was an adventure. Shall we not do it again?
We came out of it with exactly what we needed.
And we almost died, Pookie Bear. Will stroked his finger against the map's soft paper, and his voice a triumphant whisper.
Whimper. The indentureships end on the day of the tournament.
When we left the inn room, we discovered that we were in the secret base shared by the Rebellion and the Magpie. I looked at Will, who seemed equally confused.
I want to say the assassin's Edith.
It was kind of a dude. I like the idea of we're not going to know it until we, there is...
Can the stag be a romance option?
Well, there is going to be a DLC. There's two routes in the DLC. Layton's route.
Yes!
Is there a rusted root?
No. Well, Layton does have rusty hair. Does that count? But the second route is a secret person who we don't know yet.
I want to say it's a stag.
That'd be fun.
Because we get to see all the shit that he's up to.
Yeah.
Does the magpie know the stag? He never said such a thing, and we do know the true identities of a few other temple assassins.
I have the feeling that the magpie keeps his own counsel on a number of things.
I think this is a new development. He was always trying to pin down the stag and couldn't.
Putting that mystery aside, we set about sneaking back out of Nottingham and returning home.
Brother!
John flew to our side and pulled Will into a massive bear hug. Oh, we've been gone a while.
Careful, Oroko, your strength. Oop! Sorry. You're back!
Roan and Robin trotted over in John's wake. You all don't seem too worried. You have some idea of what happened to us?
It was so scary. The ground shook and my fox friends came running to me. We found you both passed out in the deep wood. and I didn't know what to do. I can't carry you both, but I couldn't leave you alone, right? But then Red showed up and told me to bring the word to the camp that you'll be all right. I did the right thing, didn't I?
Red, Will, and I exchanged a look. Of course you did, Roan. Thank you so much. See, I told you that lookout was a very important job.
Roan, who is Red? You know, Druid Layton. He calls me Red and I call him Red because we have the same hair.
I sensed a headache coming on. We hadn't seen Layton since the day of the meeting, when he'd left the camp.
Seems I might have been wrong about him.
Layton fucking knew that these little dipshits were gonna go try to find the secret temple.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh god. I have to go
Legends of
save
the
their
Hidden
asses."
Temple.
I wouldn't go that far.
Excuse me, bitch? Step the fuck up off my lines. I wouldn't go that far. Perhaps you weren't wrong about a thing or two, but I was never sure if we could trust him completely. We simply didn't have a choice. Let's sit down somewhere. I should probably tell you about how we met a temple assassin.
Oh my
What?
god.
Okay, are we naked in front of Robin and everyone else? Well, let me tell you a tale. And naked.
Titties.
And titties.
That night, I was snuggled in Will's arms on his bed. The events of the day were catching up with me. It's so frustrating.
I know. We were right on the edge of a mystery, and we can't go any further.
It's not fair to keep people like us in the dark.
Obnoxious intellectuals, you mean?
Exactly.
Or perhaps annoying adventurers.
That's more how Layton would put it, I think.
Ugh, it's giving me a headache. What was he doing there, and why did he have us rescued? How is he connected to the stag? I'm calling it. Stag's an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. Surely they're not the same person. Well, I suppose Layton could, like...
We'll put on a wig.
Well, the dude was wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And a hood.
But it says
sure
that
it could-
Layton owes him something.
Yeah.
Or like Layton owed them.
Yeah. Surely they're not the same person.
No, I don't think even he can change his voice and height like that.
I guess illusion. I sighed. And we'll never know what exactly is going on with the druids, except in the Layton DLC. But we gotta wait a long time for that, because the DLC is not coming until all the main routes are out.
I'm not certain I want to know anymore. As long as whatever it is, it's stopped.
I suppose we'll simply have to let it go. We have our own little part to play, and it will have to be enough.
At least I got a most excellent lover out of all this nonsense.
He squeezed me tight. I'm glad I'm still up to standard.
You saved my life, silly chit. I'm afraid I can't let you go now.
Ooh, ooh. I'm not going anywhere. He grinned at me without warning, flipped me over on the bed. He balanced his arms above me, looking down lasciviously.
Woo!
Is that the right
Lasciviously. Lasciviously?
You're the
Self-voicing
English
enabled. Will, good. Because you're definitely not going anywhere tonight.
Please at least be quiet enough that, like, your brother doesn't have to hear you. No one wants that shit.
John's probably running away right now.
John here's like, ah! And he's like...
On the day of the turn, self-voicing disabled.
On the day of the tournament, most of the camp set off for Nottingham, determined to either win Lord Joffrey's boons and abolish his repressive policies, or to inspire a full-scale revolt then and there. Only Will's squad remained. We gathered in the bonfire circle for our own, much quieter mission. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you all for joining me. I know this isn't as glamorous as the grand tournament, but it's very important. We're not with you for the glamour. You know what? You know that. We're the Magpies gang, Nottingham's shadow.
The squad cheered at that. Will looked proud.
Then let's go light a torch for freedom.
A select number of us went ahead to the storehouse on the map. It was a small, unassuming cottage on the very edge of human-controlled territory. We crouched behind the tree line, getting the lay of the land. There was only one guard at the door, and he wasn't even wearing a bond bracer. No druidic magic would be brought to bear against us today. Will nodded at me. I picked up a rock. He moved into position, then gave me a nod. I threw a rock at the guard and hit him square in the forehead.
Yikes.
He yelped and looked in my direction. A blur of red, white, and
whack.
red, white, and black
There you go.
flew at him and thumped him on the back of the head. He crumpled.
Nicely done.
So many concussions.
Right?
Which, like, without, like, pain relievers must fucking suck. Will cracked the door and looked into the storeroom. He closed it quickly, looking disgusted.
This is a place. Rents, fetch the main squad.
Before long, Will's lads had driven a wagon full of shovels, buckets, and torches into the clearing. What are we doing? Digging a hole?
Burning the whole thing down?
Burning it down, but first clearing the land so it doesn't start like a fucking forest fire.
That's very conscious of them.
Very smart, very smart. The entire squad went to work clearing the land around the storehouse and dousing it with buckets of oil. It certainly wasn't glamorous work. Still, Edith and I smiled at each other while we toted buckets and tossed the flammable liquid against the building's wooden frame.
I would have gone in to investigate first.
I'm so glad we're... Oh, sorry.
How dare you?
How dare you? I'm so glad we're doing this. I know the sheriff was just an indentured merchant, but I heard that what Will said. We were next. We were all next. And it would have been far worse than indentureship.
I didn't want to believe it, but I do now. We're ending something that was about to go very wrong. Especially when we saw that fucking end state, where the fail state. When we were done, Will had everyone stand back. His Flintstones his vitamins clicked together as he lit a torch.
His Flintstones vitamins clicked together.
As he lit a torch, and we took turns lighting our own torches against it. We circled the building.
Ready? Now.
We tossed our torches at the building as one, and then ran to the forest's edge. The structure caught fire with a massive whoom. Cheers erupted as we watched it burn. I looked up at Will, who was grinning from ear to ear. You're not sad we couldn't be great big heroes of the people like Robin and John?
No. This is all I ever wanted. To give everyone the chance to live their lives freely.
And you're free of that threat now. No more blood rituals.
I will never forget what you've done for me. Everything you've done.
I did it freely because I love you.
I did it for the vine.
When the
To avoid the
storehouse was
vine.
nothing but ash, we shoveled the remains of broken glass and scorched wood into a large pile. We'd shoveled the remains of broken glass and scorched wood into a large pile. Will sent his squad to the tournament. I thought we were going with him, but instead he turned Mercator back toward Sherwood Forest. Are we gonna bone again? Are we doing the horizontal hula?
We'll have to camp to ourselves. Want to go?
Is that a naughty invitation?
You'll just have to find out.
They're gonna bone again. The camp was entirely deserted. It was a strange sight. Will grabbed my hand and tugged me into his cabin, tossing his cloak and leathers to the side. With the look he was giving me, it definitely had definitely been a naughty invitation. Will sat on his bed, holding out his hand to me. I stepped into the circle of his arms. He hugged me tight, his head resting on my titties.
This is a nice pillow.
I
Those
laughed.
aren't pillows.
It's a dirty pillows.
I laughed, threading my fingers into his hair. You're a rascal, aren't you?
If you didn't know that already,
It's definitely some
I don't know
kind
what
of
to tell you.
motorized scooter.
I pulled away and sat down on the bed next to him. How did Lady Marion of Glastonbury, pillar of the weaving exports community, end up bedding down with her adventurer and thief?
I'm not sure. Perhaps he impressed her with the dexterity of his tool use.
Oh, no.
I laughed.
Oh, my.
All right then, you may demonstrate.
Allow me
Oh.
to illustrate.
My.
He hummed happily and reached for the buttons on my vest. Soon we were bared to one another. I lay beside him and we caressed each other leisurely, enjoying this time free of crisis and family ties. Once we had thoroughly acquainted ourselves with each other's bodies, we made love. It was a celebration of the lives we'd liberated and the life we'd claimed with each other. Afterwards, I lay in his arms. He gave me a tender look.
I hope we can keep doing this forever.
What, making a mess of your bed or liberating the people of Nottingham from their oppressors?
I like both, as long as they're with you.
I smiled and kissed him. I feel like this is half the draw of Otome Oclock is watching the two
You guys
of them.
lose your shit.
Yeah. Night had fallen when there was a sharp rap on the cabin door.
Will, are you in there? We've been looking everywhere for you. I am here. Don't pick the lock, Edie. We're both here.
The thief's merry laughter floated through the closed door.
I'll get your asses out here. You need to hear what's going on.
We met Edith in the bower shortly. Her eyes shined with excitement as she relayed her tale.
So 2 lads in the Grand Melee tried to climb up Lord Joffrey's box and shiv him.
Whoa, whoa.
Who should come popping up but the magpie himself, in his finest gown, of course, with some of old Sheriff's best men at his side. They arrested the blokes, and turned out they were temple assassins.
Oh, the Druids were working against Joffrey. I chuckled. There appeared to be a small loophole in the magpie's geese.
Geese?
But that's not even the crazy part, because then the king himself just walks out into the tournament grounds like he owns the place. And I guess he does. Missing for
he's the
2
king.
years, but he managed to make our Nottingham Grand Tournament. So the games are cancelled. What with the assassination attempt and all. And now the king's put his claim on Nottingham Old and invited the rebellion's leaders and Joffrey all together to stay there while he makes judgment over the land. What the fuck
What-
this accent's coming
What
from?
is that accent?
I don't
even,
know.
Ashley?
I don't
What-
know. We're just gonna shut up and keep going. John says you should come and join him. There's room ready for you and everything. He's tried to ask for the rooms, but Sir Robin said that wouldn't be necessary. Guess it was right.
She took a deep breath and went silent.
Thank
we
God.
stared at her. Well, excuse me.
Well then.
And all we did today was burn down a storehouse. A fucking King Richard, the Lionheart, just fucking waltzes into the tourney after Joffrey almost gets double shivved by druids.
And other things.
Oh, my.
Edith sniggered. Sniggered? Shall we go to the hold? Will grimaced.
I don't know the king from a chambermaid. Robin will be over the moon though.
Robin found a new boyfriend. It's King Richard the Lionheart.
You probably should. Word's sheriff gone to right bootin'. I know I want to see that. Very well.
You've got a
suppose
Putin for Putin.
I suppose the good times can't last forever.
I wouldn't mind a few days of food from his lordship's kitchen. No offense to John, of course, but I've had enough of venison potato stew for an entire lifetime.
But it can wait until tomorrow. Edie, I'm letting you into my brother's cabin. You shouldn't have to sleep in the squad bunk tree by yourself. Ooh, fancy.
And so we spent one final night in the magical Sherwood camp before returning to reality.
Maybe we'll get this finished tonight.
Perhaps. Several days later, we gathered in Nottingham Hold's Great Hall, awaiting the king's judgment over the troubles in the region. We were off to the side of Robin and John, who stood tall and proud like conquering heroes.
We were in Nottingham, eating Rottingham in Rotterdam.
Lady Lark stood at Robin's side, looking for all the world like a sleek noblewoman and not like the mastermind of shadow she truly was. Lord Joffrey had been standing on the other side of the hall, flanked by guards and several druidic leaders, but to my surprise, he began walking in our direction. Had he been hurt the day before, he moved with a bit of a limp. I expected him to stop and exchange words with Robin, but he was coming directly toward us. The Dour Lord stopped in front of us, looking directly at me. Will glared at him.
Lady Marion, it has come to my attention that your father was overzealous in arranging our engagement. I must admit, I thought you merely a flighty lass who decided to abandon her vows and take up with the rebellion on a whim. I regret to hear that you were pressured into the agreement. I do not wish to take an unwilling bride, so I hereby release you from our engagement.
See, Joffrey is a nice-ish person.
Is he, though?
The emphasis on the ish.
Ish. I said ish. Like, he was like, I didn't know you were forced into this. I thought you were just, like, a flighty... I didn't know who the fuck you were. sorry. I believe I released myself from it months ago, but I welcome your understanding of the situation. Lord Joffrey's mouth twisted. Was he threatening to smile?
God, I can't wait till his root comes out. We're gonna husband him so good. Yes.
What?
We can date him when his root comes out.
I get
And we're
that.
gonna play it.
Yes.
Will put an end to the fleeting moment by staring the solemn man down.
I'm glad you understand that Marion isn't your property, but you came over here and you're not apologizing for chaining me up in your dungeon? I am not. You're rightfully arrested for thievery, but you proceeded to resist capture and attempted escape. No doubt the king is about to pardon you all in the name of peace, and because he favors your cousin.
Because he
However,
wants to get a piece.
however, I continue to maintain that you chose the wrong path. Thievery, banditry, rebellion. I sincerely wish we could have worked together to solve Nottingham's problems instead, but alas.
That's gonna be Joffrey's route, where you work together to figure out what the fuck
I want
is
to
going
thank
on.
Alan Rickman Snape for my inspiration for Lord Joffrey.
Considering this Joffrey was based off Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham, that
Yeah.
fucking works.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say I totally like King Richard likes Robin and Robin likes King Richard. If there's not like a weird age gap,
Could that be the secret route? Is like King Richard and Robin?
oh my god, if we could smooch King Richard, that'd be fucking wild.
Woo!
Excuse me, Velvet Cupcake Games, are you gonna let us become Queen of
girlies,
Avalon?
Hey, girlies.
With that, he returned and walked back to his seat.
No, I want a completely different one where it's like you play as Robin and you're romancing King Jeff or King
Joffrey?
King Richard the
King
Lionheart.
Richard. And maybe a small foray with Joffrey. Jeffrey?
I want to see, I hope there's a sprite for King Richard. I really want to see him. With that, he turned and walked back to his seat.
Well, that was an encounter. Glad I don't have to duel him for you or something.
I'd duel him myself. I'd win, too.
Yeah, because you go after his bum knee. Yes. Yes, you would. Hey! Oh, he handsome.
Oh,
He a big boy. He bear. Look at that man. Adam, it's you.
I'm torn between King Richard being too old for Robin, but
Too
also-
manly for Robin.
but also wanting Robin and King Richard to get together. You know what I mean? Just because, like, they like each other so
Robin
much.
can be the queen of
Yes.
Sherwood Forest.
Wait. Oh, God. I hope they're not related. That'd be weird.
That'd be awkward. Okay, maybe not.
At that moment, the king appeared. The crowd hushed as he reached the dais at the front of the great hall and turned
Dais?
to address whatever.
Dias?
At the front of the great hall and turned to address.
Adam, I know that song is on the cusp of your brain. I swear to God, I will mute your microphone so fast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hear your
After
fucking
some
thoughts.
opening remarks about how important it was to balance the needs of the nobility and the needs of the commoners in Nottingham, King Richard began to declare his judgment. He started by announcing that Lord Joffrey was to be removed as the provisional Lord of Nottingham and would be returning to rule his home holding of Woodthorpe. I thought Joffrey might be angry about that, but instead he looked relieved. He's like, oh, thank fucking God.
Thank God.
As Lord Joffrey had predicted, the king had then pardoned the rebellion for the acts they had undertaken in shadow. He reinstated Robin as lord and stated that the group would now come into the light and work towards its goals under the law. He announced an end.
The law.
He announced an end to the indentureship program, effective immediately. Such practices would be outlawed throughout the kingdom.
Joffrey is not the law. King Richard is the law.
Well, yeah, he's the fucking king. He's probably gonna go slap his brother.
He walked in like he owned the place. Of course, he does own the place.
He announced. Okay. Hit the space bar, Ashley. Then the king pronounced that the new Lord Nottingham would be Robin, formerly of Locksley. The crowd cheered, but Will stiffened at my side.
The crowd cheered.
But Will stiffened at my side. I immediately realized
I
what
bet he
that
did.
meant for my lover.
No, I can't. I won't.
I shouldn't.
He whispered fiercely. With Robin transferred to ruling over Nottingham Holding, Will was in line to be the new Lord Locksley. It was exactly what he had feared all along.
He's like a cornered cat.
I squeezed his hand in support. My attention was caught by Lady Lark, who was watching us curiously. I gave her a wobbly smile and she winked at me.
Now, with Lord Robin installed as ruler of Nottingham, we must turn to the dispensation of Locksley Holding.
The king was not looking at us. He gave no hint of what he was about to say.
I would like to announce that Lady Lark of Locksley, who has been graciously taking care of the holding during the troubles here in Nottingham, has completed the process of adopting her sister's stepson, John of Sunjata.
Hell yeah!
I now dub him Lord John of Locksley, the first Sunjati-born Lord of Avalon. I know Lord John well, and I believe he will do great things in bridging a path between our two nations, as well as taking excellent care of his charges in Locksley Holding.
Yes! Will's eyes were wide in shock, but soon he donned a huge smile and dropped my hand, rushing over to embrace his brother. I grinned at Lady Lark, who smiled back serenely. She had indeed heeded Will's desire to choose his own path. A flash of cerulean blue caught my eye, and I saw a Chevalier, Guy Lalonde, across the room. The man who had no idea I'd falsely believed him a kidnapper gave me a tip of his hat, then vanished into the crowd. He did say he was working for the crown, but I don't know if he said he was working for the prince. The judgment over, Will escaped from the crowd that was surrounding Avalon's newest lords and ran to my side.
I'm free, Marion! I'm finally free!
I hugged him and he dared to swoop in and kiss me in front of the crowd. Not that they were paying attention to us anyhow. Would they give a fuck? You are still second in line for Locksley Holding, you know. I tried to tease him when he pulled away, but he scoffed at me.
Have you met my brother? He's one of the sturdiest men in the world, and I'm certain he'll be married and siring our adopting heirs in no time.
With a man like John, there's gonna be many Avalon noble ladies who are like, please, marry me. Everybody who wanted to, who's gonna marry, fucking Joffrey is gonna just swarm John.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can do it. So you can now do whatever you... Oh my god.
Take 5.
Anytime.
So you can do whatever you like now. He smiled at me, his warm brown eyes clear and joyful.
There's one kind of freedom I don't want. Will you stay with me, Mare? I can promise all the adventures you desire.
Do you think his kids would inherit his line as sort of, second in line? Like if John doesn't have any kids?
Yeah.
I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be.
I just smacked the fuck out of my microphone. Ow.
A year after the dramatic events surrounding the grand tournament, the inn that once served as Rebellion hideout was quite transformed.
There's babies everywhere.
It had been officially purchased by Nottingham's own Lord Robin, who declared it a meeting place that welcomed folk of all social classes. The inn staff was a colorful sort, though most folk didn't know they mostly comprised of retired thieves and shadow lilies, seeking a steadier form of employment. Or shadow lilies prostitutes?
I think so.
The companion at my table, however, knew them all by name. She was speaking me animatedly, twirling a fork in her hand. I watched the carrot she speared fly in circles.
That rotter Sir Orson's threatening to scuttle the Brambles' independence initiative again. I've got enough rubbish on him to put him in the king's own dungeons. Can we take him out, please?
Please? The Magpie's gang had changed as well. Lady Lark had become more hands-off, leaving daily leadership to Will. The gang now supported Lord Robin and his reforms from the shadows, although Will also believed that part of their job was keeping his cousin grounded and true to his ideals. I would very much like to. We'll simply have to get Robin to agree. Don't get me wrong, he despises the man like the rest of us. He's just trying to stabilize the nobility in general before making any drastic moves.
They're not finding it quite as easy to maneuver around our cousin like they did with Lord Joffrey.
Oh,
Look at him being so regal.
damn.
Purple look good on you, John.
Ooh,
Regal.
Lord John
regal.
of Locksley. I looked over at our new arrival, who slid onto the bench next to me. He was so large that I was pressed against the wall, but I didn't mind. John was practically my own brother at this point. In another route, you wouldn't mind for a different reason.
Oh my.
Oh, hello, Okoro. What brings you in from Loxley?
Nice togs, bruv. I see my lordship agrees with you. It's always good to come down here and receive a hearty dose of humility from your lot. I adore the folks of Loxley, but must they bow so often? I've told them not to bother, but...
John sighed. And you wonder why Will didn't want to drive. Could you see your brother reacting to a bowing subject?
He'd bow right out.
We groaned.
The eye roll. Oh, speaking of, here he is.
Oh, Robin, looking very dapper.
Very nice.
I liked your old outfit better. I think the green suits you more. Will and Robin walk down the stairs, deep in conversation. No doubt they're also talking about the Brambles Independent Initiative, which would officially deed the neighborhood's land to the people rather than to a liege lord. Will had helped write up the legislation, although he refused to take credit. He preferred to stay mostly in shadow as always, living as the simple manager of this very inn. And of course, as the heir apparent to Magpie's gang. Oh, he owns the inn now.
Nice. Brother, are you trying to steal my woman again, or merely squash her?
John laughed and scooted off the bench, allowing Will to take his place. He pulled up a stool while Robin slid onto the bench next to Edith.
He was just trying to push her stool in for her.
It would have once been unthinkable, the Lord of Nottingham sharing a table with a barely reformed street thief, but many things had changed in the city over the past year.
Robbie and I were just asking Mara if we can give her Sir Austin his comeuppance for being a right awful rotter. What a coincidence, dear Edith. I've just arranged for an opportunity to do just that, mere days before negotiations over the Brambles. It will be such a shame to see him exiled in disgrace. We've 5 mistreated servants waiting in the wings to testify. Just give me a day. Edie, you're a gem of the highest order. Oh, I haven't lifted one of those in a good while.
We laughed, then turned to other topics of conversation. It was the early hours of morning. Once the tavern had finally closed, the tables were clean and the staff had gone home. Only Will and I remained.
You just cleaned the tables. I'm only going to say that you just finished cleaning. Do not mess it up again.
You just you know how long that takes.
You never even told them you have the most damning evidence against our
Damning
Orson
evidence?
of all.
What, the proof that
Biddy.
What, the proof that he was assisting the guard in bullying and intimidation during the indentured servitude program? I thought it'd be fun just to pull that out of my pocket at the right time.
You've been quite the spy, love.
And you've become quite the spy master, sweetie.
What the fuck was all of that?
Them being cutesy-wootsy with each other?
Oh,
Yes, well, I fear I've never been quite as secretive as the current magpie. But I'm glad I don't have to live that kind of double life.
Your brother seems to be doing well. There was much less of a ruckus about his lordship than I expected.
could you describe the ruckus?
With everything else that happened last summer, I think Sanjati Lord just wasn't interesting enough. I'm glad he's happy, and his hands are full, so he hardly ever sticks them in our business anymore.
Gross.
Admit it, you missed that a bit.
Do not.
Oh. Will leaned his elbows on the bar, glowering at me. I hopped onto it and let the shoulder of my dress drop down seductively.
Jesus, you gonna break that butt?
So does the busy owner of the Fool's Flag have time for a simple Lady Chamberlain, or is he too busy fretting over the Brambles legislation?
I'm busier being annoyed that you're working for my cousin.
Come now, it's healthy for there to be one lady in Nottingham holding with whom he doesn't flirt mostly. And I could hardly be a good spy if I were working directly for you. What kind of barmaid gets invited to holding trade talks?
I'm tempted to promote you to innkeeper's wife one of these days. Maybe when I'm old and dull, like 22.
Oh, youth. I turned 33 yesterday.
Fuck off, I'm 40. We're not even going to discuss that.
I don't think you'll ever be dull, my dear.
Even though I'm wiping down this bar and organizing a spy ring instead of taking you out to beat up bandits?
Even then, we're Nottingham's shadow after all. It wouldn't do to be visibly involved in holding security. And being the future Miss Magpie is hardly a dull post. Don't tell Edith, but I've been collecting my own cache of shiny things.
Ah, yes, the ill-gotten gains of unscrupulous merchants that you've been liberating. Got enough to fund that lending library yet?
Soon, your old booklender friend is due to be released from prison soon, is he not? I'd like to talk to him about the business.
Sounds like you're giving him the business.
Will gave me a fond smile and kissed my forehead.
Now she's giving Will the business. How did I ever get so lucky as to land you?
You're just that handsome, I suppose. Would you like to go upstairs and learn exactly how lucky you are?
I mean, whoa.
You don't
That
have to ask
escalated
me
quickly.
twice. Shall we proceed to scandalize the neighborhood?
Sounds like a perfect evening. And it was.
We did it. Completed Will's ending.
Yeah!
The end. Shiny things. Now the credits that aren't depressing.
Because, we fucked up last time.
Oh shit, we still have a whole hour left. Now what do we do with ourselves?
I mean, we can talk a bit and end early.
We're gonna be ending like an hour early. I'm juggling air.
So, this was very fun. I liked it a lot. I'm excited for all the other routes. I miss Mesa already. Baby, please come home. And I like that we didn't get to learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's still other things we can learn. And also, when we do Joffrey's route, if the druids do try to kill him there, we will be the ones stab-labbing people.
Yes.
Stab-a-labbing people?
Stab-a-labbing
people. Oh, hey, skip end credits.
Yeah, we're just letting the credits roll because we have nothing else going on at the moment.
Ooh, a new love interest point of view scene has been unlocked. New scenes. I don't shag noblewoman. A long needed talk. Flames of freedom. Alvin the good listener. Go to scenes. I don't shag noblewoman. I don't. Yes, that one. The familiar backstreets of Nottingham were usually. Okay, hold on. Before we start this, I will be Will and Will's narration. You will be everybody else.
Okay.
The familiar backstreets of Nottingham were usually a source of joy for me, but tonight they seemed dull and gray compared to what had just happened upstairs in the inn. I'd made a terrible mistake. I hadn't meant to touch my delectable partner in that way. It was her fault, really. But once I felt her beneath my hands, I knew I was lost. Hold on.
Self-voicing enabled. Self-voicing disabled.
Are we hitting the...
No, it's fine. My Schweenus had responded yes.
Oh my!
But that wasn't the problem. I'd met plenty of pretty girls in Nottingham, and plenty more wanted a piece of the notorious Scarlet Blade and his
They wanted to chomp on that Scarlet Blade.
I don't think you should
I'm
use
gonna put that
teeth.
down.
I'm gonna put that down. No, that's awful. Don't ever... No. Ugh.
No, it was my heart that was the problem. Marion wasn't just a lovely diversion. I liked her. I couldn't tell her, of course. I'd been an ass to her for too long. And then there was the problem that she was a noblewoman. She'd want a life I could never give her. I looked at her, noticing she seemed lost 1,000 miles away. It annoyed me. How could she have her mind on anything but the experience we just shared? Oh my god, he's such a little fucking tsundere. He's like,
I love him.
I spoke up to dispel that feeling. Well, that was interesting. She responded, still half distracted. Despite all your backtalk, you didn't seem to mind being close to me. That got her attention. She smirked at me. Rot it, that smirk was a weapon.
That scent you wear is nice. I'm still making up my mind about the rest of you.
So she liked my
Oh.
scent. I only wore it because it was an oil John had devised to help care for my hair. But I had a sudden desire to dab it in other places as well. Places she could... Hey! And just put it in, like, his loins. Like,
No one's
Citrus-
looking. No one's looking.
citrus-scented schween.
Little dabble, do you?
Put it on his pubes.
Freshen up them pubes.
You?
Trying to avoid swamp dick.
What is wrong with you two?
Apparently,
Quite
I
a
don't
bit.
know if this still is a thing, but Halson's underwear in Baldur's Gate 3 apparently smells like herbs.
Herbs and spices like KFC.
No, like herbs to keep away swamp dick.
That's good. All right, so my hidden space bar.
Shadows, I needed to shut down that line of thinking immediately. If she knew what was actually on my mind. Don't bother. I don't shag noblewomen. I blurted it out without thinking. Stupid, stupid. A strange look crossed her face. Anger, hurt? But her response was arch. Perhaps it had only been my imagination.
That's an odd policy for the man who's second in line to inherit Locksley Holding.
I knew that. That was the problem. An accident of birth and location. One I intend to rectify. Noblewomen have expectations I don't intend to meet.
You have to admit, most commoners would give their left arm to be born into the nobility.
She didn't understand. Of course she didn't. She'd been raised to this from birth. You think me a spoiled child like the rest of them, but it's simply not the kind of life I want. I was born the second son of the chief of a tiny fishing village. Everyone knew John would inherit his job. And now that we've played the game, we know that John will once again inherit the job of leader.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't meant to be a leader. I like walking in shadow. I'm good at working for the magpie. I shook my head. I'm good at a lot of things, but people aren't one of them. You're good at boning them.
One of them. I'd never have guessed.
I'm sure you're a real social butterfly yourself with that attitude. That attitude was my problem. She thought she annoyed me. I let her believe it. I could never tell her that whenever she sassed me, I had a wicked desire to take her over. Oh my god! Sir! Take her over my knee and give her lush bottom a swat and then...
I'm in danger.
Damn, Will, you are having thoughts way early. You're just like, ah.
Must not be
So
horny. Must not
are
be
the-
horny.
These are the bonus scenes that
These
you
are
guys
bonus
didn't get
scenes.
to see?
No. These are from Will's perspective.
Yeah, Will's
not
perspective.
mine.
Oh, okay. So it's the same scenes, you're just seeing them from the other character's side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lurid images ran through my head. No, Bedwill. Fortunately, she responded to me seriously, ignorant of my vivid imagination.
People may not be my strong suit either. Things I'm good at are more suited to being a lord than a lady. I'm still wondering what one does when one's abilities and one's birth are mismatched.
Yes, that's the problem, isn't it? Why should we be constrained by the circumstances of our births?
Bursts?
Births! I will slap you. I looked at her, beautiful, brave, intelligent, and she actually did understand. I realized that I hadn't taken the time to fully learn about her. Of course I hadn't. I'd been too busy judging her, being jealous of her. I was smiling like a smitten fool, wasn't I? I forced myself to make a sour face instead. I could not encourage her. I just couldn't. She would take my life in all the wrong directions, and I knew that if I allowed myself to have her, I would never want to let go. But I'm still not going to shag you.
She would tear your life into pieces.
What part
Should
of
be your last resort.
I'm still making up my mind about the rest of you did you not understand?
I laughed. She made me laugh. That was the very worst part of all. I was in big, big trouble.
The long needed talk. We're filling time, might as well do it.
I was the most foolish man in Avalon. I could have had Marion of Gladstoneberry in my bed. Oh my god! Ashley, please hit.
Self-voicing enabled. I could have had Marion of Glastonbury in my bed. Could have stripped those fake-cursed trousers right off her and buried my cock in her until daybreak.
Whoa!
Oh my god, that was so spicy.
That was spicier than the lines we got when they actually boned.
Self-voicing disabled.
She'd practically begged me, and I turned her down.
Jesus Christ, sweet velvet cupcake, my goodness. Who loves preserves?
Instead, I was trudging to my brother's cabin to have a long-delayed sibling talk. Ugh. Heedless of my thoughts, Okoro opened his door to me and ushered me inside. We sat at his mushroom table.
Just what now?
Listen, I know what we just experienced from the previous screen, but that's not what you need to be thinking right now. They're brothers. It's not that type of game.
It was always a silly sight. My legs were too long for the squat chairs, and everything about my brother was too large for them. Two men who didn't quite fit in this world, and yet my brother always seemed so much more comfortable than I felt. He spoke up while I was still getting my thoughts together, as usual.
You saved Marion from that man who's after her. I'm proud of you, Will.
I'd always wanted my brother to be proud of me, but for something I hadn't even done, I sighed. Marion saved herself. I was only there just in case something went wrong.
And because you couldn't help yourself, it's alright to show you care about people you love, Will.
I do, in private, and not by trying to stop them from doing the things they love. Marion needs a light hand. She's proud and she doubts herself when she makes mistakes. John considered me, his golden eyes shining.
What did he consider you?
Eyes that spoke of Amun's favor, of being the scion of a true blessed bloodline in our homeland. Golden eyes, golden sun. I was just the odd spare.
You aren't overly fond of company, I know, but you have a lot of insight into others. We should trust you more.
I was floored. My brother didn't speak to me like that. What was his angle? What are you buttering me up for? Are you going to ask me to back down on my plans again? I'm not doing it.
Will, could you please, for just this once, actually listen to what I'm saying instead of the conversation in your own head? I'm trying to tell you that I've been wrong. You know how I feel about your protection. It was the last thing Father asked of me. I can't give it up for the world, but you're a man now. I know that. I saw you fucking in the woods.
Oh, my.
Layton told me about it.
You've had a funny way of showing it. Rot it all, I'd come down here and try to make amends, but years of resentment couldn't be swept away so easily.
I know. I keep trying to let go, but it's cursed hard. If only you could see yourself when you're only 8 years old. You were so scared. I was your brother. Not even a man yet, but I had to be your father. And so I was.
I know, and I'm starting to understand some of the decisions you made, like keeping me out of the war.
It was terrible, Will. You were so young and you thought it would be an adventure. It was a slaughter. Armed and armored knights against the peasants of Nibiru, we had to fight for our land, for our independence. They had to fight because their king decreed it. It was evil.
And this isn't even your land.
It is now, Will. I've never pretended not to miss Sanjata, but what I truly miss isn't the land or even the customs. It's the people we can never get back.
I wish I remembered them better, Mom and Da.
Baba?
It was not a correction, I realized. It was a remembrance. I got up and hugged my brother. He smiled.
Will, Ayola, I will advocate for your plan. It's time for me to step back, to be your brother again.
You will?
I promise. I cannot promise to stop trying to protect you, but I can promise to try and be less overbearing about it. It is not only you I have alienated with that habit of mine.
Is that so? Maybe you can tell me about it sometime.
Maybe, but not tonight. Now tell me, are you being an honest man with Marion? She's a special young lady. I hope you have told her how you feel.
By the light, brother, don't back off from one form of overbearing just to take up another.
She convinced me I needed to tell you how I feel, you know. I'm proud of you. I always have been. I've never been able to keep up with your brilliant mind, and I love the way your idealism shines through the things you do.
I was stunned. I hadn't known. My brother may have told me I was insightful, but I'd let my anger and resentment blind me to how he felt. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I always saw you as the powerful big brother who could do anything. Stupid of me to think that meant you don't struggle to say the things you feel too.
We are brothers, after all.
We are. I hugged my brother once more. I felt lighter, freer, like my world had expanded. Perhaps I wasn't the most foolish man in Avalon after all.
What do we have to do for Journey of Discovery?
Probably have to choose a different route.
The Flames of Freedom.
I never imagined that the apex of my rebel journey would be a nondescript storehouse at the edge of Sherwood Forest. Once, I dreamt of grand adventure and glory, the type of story that I'd read about in my beloved novels, and yet here I was, missing the grand tournament that just might kick off a historic revolt in the name of Nottingham's people. Why then was I happier than I'd ever been? The answers were all at my side. My adopted people, the so-called dregs of Avalon society who were stronger and kinder than anyone else I knew. And the woman who stood at my side, more brave and true than any princess in a heroic tale. We crouched behind the tree line, getting the lay of the land.
Getting laid on the land.
That's later.
There was only one guard at the door, and he wasn't even wearing a bond bracer. No druidic magic would be brought to bear against us today. I got in position and signaled to Marion that I was ready for our diversion. She picked up a rock. I gave her the signal. She threw the rock at the guard. It hit him square in the forehead. That was my woman, all right. I didn't even need to use my blessing to sneak up on the oaf. I simply rushed behind him and thumped him on the back of the head. He crumpled. I looked at my beautiful lady, the stone sharpshooter. Nicely done. Then I cracked open the door to the storehouse. An aura of evil pervaded the place. There were shelves upon shelves of blood and vials and nasty-looking alchemical equipment that was set up in the main area. You know, we probably didn't see this part because then they would have had to make another, background / CG for, one instance.
Yeah.
And you gotta save money somewhere.
Yeah.
I closed the door quickly, lest I vomit then and there. This is the place. Go fetch the main squad. Before long, my sturdy lads and lasses had driven a wagon full of shovels, buckets, and torches into the clearing. The entire squad went to work clearing the land around the storehouse and dousing it with buckets of oil. Where did they get that much fucking oil?
Stole it.
Yeah, but
Liberated it.
I joined them in their labors as I always did. Well, while I shoveled, I saw Marion and Edith chatting like old friends. My heart warmed in fondness. When we were done, I told everyone to stand back. We lit torches and circled the building. Ready? Now. I commanded the fire of freedom to be lit. It was better than commanding an army into battle. Perhaps it was a small gesture in the grand scope of Avalon history, but it meant everything to the ordinary people of Nottingham. Whatever evil plans the creators of this form of adventureship had for the long run, they'd been scuppered today. Velvet Cupcake Games, please. Once again, I did not take the SATs. The structure caught fire with a massive whoom. Cheers erupted as we watched it burn. I looked down at Marion, a grin on my face.
You're not sad we couldn't be great big heroes for the people like Robin and John?
No, this is all I ever want.
Oh, shit.
I realized that it was true. Robin and John endured the light, but these shadows were where I belonged, where I was happiest.
And you're free of the threat now. No more blood rituals.
I'd been trying not to think about that, but now I could. These villains had taken my blood, tried to mark me as their possession. If Marion hadn't agreed to share her own blood with me, I'd have had to flee far from everyone I loved. This woman, she had saved my life not once, but twice. My brother had once attacked a rampaging hippopotamus for my sake. It was the day he gained his blessing, and his superhuman strength had kept us both from being slaughtered in a Sinjati river. And yet this woman, with no magic and no blessing whatsoever, had faced down Joffrey's guard, a blood ritual, and magical strangling vines on my behalf. She was my lover and my hero. I will never forget what you've done for me, love. Everything you've done for me.
I did it freely, because I love you.
And that was the greatest blessing I'd ever received. Yeah, that was fun. I really like that we have like little scenes. Hit miscellaneous.
Alvin, the good listener.
I'm intrigued.
Do you want me to do Alvin?
Now I'll do Alvin.
Okay.
Another night, another tavern. I've been trawling the streets of Nottingham for weeks with nothing to show for it but worn out boots and the beginnings of a beer belly. Why was I doing this instead of seeking out more noble sons and daughters who would accept my tutelage if not my peerage? For the woman who had stolen my heart and then stomped on it, of course. I knew it was a fool's errand. She didn't love me. She couldn't have said it more clearly. Couldn't have demonstrated it more clearly than when she sent me away from her rather than accepting my help and escaping her unwanted engagement. I'd come here to return the favor, even if she wouldn't be mine. It didn't sit right with me that she should have to marry a man whose she'd never even met, much less loved. Okay, this makes more sense. Like, he was like, oh, she's being sent away, I should, like, try to help. But Marion had never arrived in Nottingham, and my worry had driven me barmy. I sighed and settled into a back corner, looking for likely informants when it happened. The woman I'd been seeking all this time ran down the inn's main stairs.
Oh!
She was disguised as a peasant, but I would know her anywhere. Who was that with her? A tall, thin man dressed in all black. They looked close. Where had she been all this time? What was she doing? Whatever it was, it certainly didn't seem appropriate for a noble lady. The noble lady she very much was. Desiring to learn the sword was one thing. Canoodling in inns with random street thugs was another. The pair began to move toward the door together. Marion scanned the room and her eyes alighted on me. No, I couldn't let her see me, not like this. I needed information first. I ducked into a side alcove and she kept moving along. I didn't think she recognized me. Good.
Did we recognize her? Him?
I don't know. It's been a while. Another night, yet another tavern. This one was in a decidedly seedier part of town. I thought it might be a better place to find information about my wayward lover. Well, you did have sex, so technically lover, and I'd been right. Although folk knew nothing about Marion, I'd heard plenty about the companion she'd been with that night. The Scarlet Blade, they called him. A half-Sinjati nobleman who spent his time among Avalon's less fortunate and had joined the rebellion against Lord Joffrey. The ordinary folk seemed to think him some kind of popular hero. It sounded like he was nothing but a jumped-up thief, and one with the blessing of nobility to boot. It curdled my stomach to think of a man selling his exalted station in that manner. Did he know the great good fortune he possessed? He had the one thing I could never attain, no matter my talents or achievements. I nursed my beer bitterly, trying to figure out what to do next. This scoundrel had my Marion in his grasp. Guy Lalonde, you little shit. So he was behind it. He's just
behind
smart.
it, in front of it, back.
He
For the
was
little boob window.
you and your titty window, sir.
Titty window tit.
A flash of cerulean blue, far too vivid a color for a straw-lined tavern such as this, crossed my gaze. A tall, effortlessly graceful man in chevalier's garb had entered the room. He saw me in the corner and approached me.
May I have the seat? You seem to stick out in these environs nearly as much as I do.
He was indeed a chevalier with that British accent that seemed to entrance certain ladies. I wondered if he'd been born into the nobility or raised to his position. I was jealous of the British for their greater social mobility. Go ahead. I looked back down at my beer. We drank in silence for a few moments.
What brings you to a place like this, friend? Your countenance is rather sour, if it's not impudent to say so.
Woman troubles, what else? The man chuckled lightly.
Why not lighten your burden and speak of them? I'm told I'm a rather good listener.
I looked at him. His clear blue eyes and thoughtful manner did seem to invite confidences. I shrugged. Why not? I told him my tale of woe, of loving a woman who had shunned my assistance, and yet who seemed to need it more than ever. He listened in silence, nodding occasionally. When I was done, he sat thoughtfully for some time.
It seems you hold great respect for this noble woman, yet you lack it for yourself.
What do you mean? I was actually quite proud of my accomplishments, earning a swordmaster certification despite my common status, making my way in life separate from my father's mercantile empire.
My pardon, your beliefs are your own, and I have no wish to impose mine upon you. But have you thought this woman has used her rank against you?
Guy Lalonde, you sassy bitch! Ugh! I thought about that. I'd always respected Marion because she didn't treat me the way other nobles did. She respected my skills, confided in me, invited me to her bed. Yes, she had invited me. I hadn't dared to make the first move, had I? My common status was more bred into me than I thought, but that wasn't Marion's fault. I was curious about the Chevalier's point of view. Why do you say that?
Only that she knew you were bound to obey her. She used that power to send you away, regardless of your wishes. Gaslighting little scamp.
Oh, I love him even more now. I hadn't thought about that. It was true. She had, and in doing so, she had sacrificed herself. Well, if she could make such decisions on my behalf, why shouldn't I do the same? She obviously needed a rescuer. That Scarlet Blade fellow was certainly not improving her lot in life. It would have to be me. I thought I ought to make use of this mysterious Chevalier's wisdom while I had him before me. I spotted her here in town recently. She was with a dangerous fellow, and it seemed to be by choice. How would you approach such a problem?
Do you play Siege?
A fine strategic game, of course.
I like to approach my problems as though they are a game of Siege. Many of the properties of a game of Siege are known, but a few pieces are more difficult to predict. Unknown variables.
Ah, yes, like archers.
Indeed. Whenever I tackle a problem, I try to first identify the unknowable variables.
And then what do you do? The man gave me a smile that was bereft of all human warmth. I had the sudden feeling that he was not a person to be trifled with.
I remove them from the board, of course.
With that, he tipped his hat to me and stood, exiting the tavern as unexpectedly as he'd appeared. Who was he and why had he been here? I didn't know, but I did know he'd given me some excellent advice.
Did he?
Remove the unknown variables from the board, indeed. Monsieur Lalonde.
Guy, you little scamp.
This adds even more to my theory. Two things. One, Guy is in it for the drama, first of all.
He's a fae in it for the drama.
Yeah, I think he is a fae who decided to take human form, much like Roan. And he's still fae on the inside, so he's like, I'm here for the drama. Like, he's helping the crowd. Like, he wanted to watch Richard waltz the fuck in and take over everything. And now with this, he was like, ooh, I can get my little fingies all up in this. Oh, God, I love him.
So what routes are available now?
So, Robin and Will's routes are out completely. John's is being worked on, and after John's, I believe will be Mesa, then Alana, then Joffrey. And then Joffrey and Guy are kind of... They have a secondary common route. So, like, the common route is sort of your prologue where you meet everyone.
Yeah.
But Guy and Joffrey have, like, their routes are also sort of shared until a certain point where you decide whether or not you're going to go with Joffrey or you go with Guy.
Mm-hmm.
So those routes will be very last. It'll be Guy, then Joffrey. And then eventually the DLCs with Layton and someone. Maybe King Richard. I doubt it. I know Layton's one of them, and he represents the shadows, and the other one represents the light. But it'll probably be a few years before all the roots are out.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like one person doing the writing, and then she has like editors. I think it's one person doing the writing and the coding, and that's Velvet Cupcake Games. And then she has some editors and people doing art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think we can call it now.
Yeah. Obviously, the week after next will be our next one, and we will be playing The Groom of Gallagher Manor, which shouldn't be too long.
And that's
Probably
a
a lot shorter
completely
than Made
different,
Marion.
It's a completely different game. Completely different studio. Completely different vibe.
Oh, I gotta redo the intro now. I can't just reuse the same intro when I do videos.
Groom of Gallagher Manor is like a spooky... It's not spooky, what am I saying? It's a ghost story. You're trying to see if ghosts are real, and maybe you can smooch a ghost.
I mean, who doesn't want to smooch a ghost? I guess people that are afraid of ghosts. Maybe not want to smooch them.
And I think that one has voice. I think that one's voiced.
Oh. Completely or partially?
Well, there's only 2 characters, so I think it's fully voiced. Well, there's 3 if you include yourself. But other than that, it's just your busty and the ghost.
You're busty?
You're busty.
Considering the company that made it, yes. All of the dudes are busty.
Nice. Are we going to have the reappearance of Autofill, or is it going to be a named character?
Yes,
Always
yes.
autofill.
Well, I mean, we couldn't play
forever.
Otto in
It's like Truck Finley.
Made Marion. But yes, Otto will finally be making their return in Groom of Gallagher Manor.
How long have we been playing Made Marion? Like 2 months?
2 months, I think.
All right. Moving on.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us in chat tonight.
It has been lovely.
Yes. Is there anything we...
I would like to thank Velvet Cupcake Games, not only for
Yes.
this game, very good, but also for not just like taking us back to main menu when we fucked up and be like,
Oh my god, thank
would you like to go back to that choice you made that was wrong, sweetie pie?
Yes, we would.
Thank
Yes,
you
thank you.
so much.
Thank you. It's been lovely. We will probably come back for Joffrey's route eventually. I will probably play Mace's route at home by myself, not on stream. And this has been Otome Oclock.
So yes, we'll be doing Otome Oclock we do that every other Tuesday live on Twitch, and we post the edited videos the following Tuesday on YouTube. So check us out on our YouTube page if you want to be notified of all our goings on with all the different shows that we have at Geeked Out, which is not that includes Otome Oclock, but is not the only thing we do. Please follow our Discord. Links are in chat. If you need more links, let me know. You can find links on our YouTube, but there should be there's links on our Twitch page. I will double check that and make sure they're current. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch, use a Prime sub, show love. I'd love it. You'd be supporting us. That'd be super exciting. Next up this week, Thursday, we're going to be playing Conan Exiles. We'll be playing with Adam in the back. We'll be derping around, getting ready to make our full move to PC. Hopefully sooner rather than later, if everything goes well. And Friday is going to be the mega stream. We're going to be continuing to screw around in Fallout 76 to wrap up our Brotherhood of Steel walkthrough that we're doing by viewer request and getting into some more trouble. And then we'll see where the day takes us.
So are
the week
we-
takes us.
Do we plan on being on PC by Thursday?
I mean, we can try. We have everything set up.
I mean, we could
It's
certainly
just,
try.
Yeah. You just find, like, housekeeping, fine-tuning things, shit like that. But, yeah, that's been us. And this is the part where I end the show.
Bye.
So I've been Ashley A. Button.
I've been Megahan.
And I have reluctantly been at him in the back,
Yes, he has been. And
like a hotel.
you're right. And I am pressing buttons. Okay. We'll see y'all next time. See you Thursday? See you Thursday? Yeah. All right. Bye and stuff.
Bye.
Wow. Nice.